Alright, so got this thing back together. Everything was good, and now it's grinding again, doing the same thing it was before. Previously, the issue was an output shaft bearing on the inside of the engine that required splitting the cases. So I got to do it again. This time, I got to figure out what's actually causing the output shaft bearing to fail. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and show you what the sound is like. As you can see, that's not good. Alright guys, working on removing the engine. So what I'm trying to do is just clear out my workspace. So I've removed the seats, the plastic cover underneath the seats. I go ahead and run the bolts back into their homes because I'm really good at losing bolts. So from here, it's not exactly necessary, but I am going to remove the floorboard, which is pretty easy, right? There's T30 Torx here, and then there's T30 Torx in the front, both sides, and then you can kind of pick up the front and then pull this thing out. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that just to make my life easier, and then I'll come back. Okay, so another day. Got the ended up getting busy and pulled in a few different directions, so didn't get to work on this yesterday. But anyway, working on taking the engine out again, and what I want to do is start prepping it. So I'm going to pull off this airbox, and I'm going to take off this shifting assembly, and we'll go ahead and do that. I'll cut back on the camera once I have that done. Removing the shift assemblies, pretty easy. Airbox, you just got to remove this screw clamp, and I'll remove this screw clamp here coming out of the carburetor and just pop that whole thing off as an assembly. Plus this metal bracket here has to be removed. So there are two, I think those are T20 Torx bits, and same on the other side, two T20 Torx bits. You've got to pull those off as well. And then on this side, where is it? Right here. Get this out of the way. You got to remove this clip and this hose right here. For the shift assembly, pretty easy. Remove it where it goes into right here. It's got I think this is a T30 underneath here. So loosen that, and then this can just pop off. And then two T30 screws here, two T30 screws here, and this thing will come off. Have to unplug the override and the winch switch, but pretty easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'll cut this back on. All right, so I got the airbox and the shift assembly off. Now I'm going to disconnect the vent line. Let's go into the fuel pump. And we will disconnect the fuel line going to the carb. That up out of the way. Disconnect spark plug. Get that up out of the way. Disconnect this vent line. Get that out of the way. Time to disconnect wiring. So this keep it open over here. You don't have that, maybe that's for the winch. That's for the winch as well. So we'll get those out of the way. And then we got one more here. I think this is a crank sensor. I don't really know. Okay. Next we got to remove this throttle assembly. Removing the throttle assembly is pretty easy. Undo this screw. Take this cover off, and then all you're doing is loosening this top kind of jam nut, 10 millimeter, and then that'll allow you to slide it out, turn, pop this thing out. Pretty simple. And then let's go ahead and stick this back on, so we don't lose anything, or it. So I'm really good at that. Next thing I want to do is pop off this airbox here. So Phillips head in the front. All right, and that's loose. And then looks like a T20 back here. So I'm going to be taking this engine out as complete as possible. It'll be a little heavier this way, but it'll be easier in the long run. Just take it out whole, and then we could strip it down on the bench. So getting them out isn't easy without two people, but okay. This is just a little retaining ring. And so, pop that out. Does it have water in it? It does have a little bit of water in it. Probably got in through here, but that looks pretty dry. Then next, we're going to pop this vent down here off. And that is a Phillips head. So, sneak your hand down here somewhere or another. Loosen it a little bit more. I'm going to back it out basically all the way to the back of the threads. And so that's disconnected. Then we've got starter wire. We can pop that off. That should be a 10 millimeter holding it on, and mine was super loose, so that's not good, but easy to take off. Sorry, you can't really see it, but this red line, red cable attaches to the top of the starter. All I'm doing is popping that off, and then pull that up and through. Get that out of the way. And then we're going to put this nut back on so we don't lose it. All right. Something that's gonna be a little hard to see. I think I'm gonna show you is down here. These wires right here, not this one. These two wires right here are grounds. They're attached to the case. So you got to get down there with a T30 Torx bit and remove them. It's gonna be really hard for me to show you, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that off camera. All right, got the ground wires removed. Now we're gonna remove these coolant hoses. So pull this one up. Then I'm gonna tighten the connector down here just to make sure it doesn't fall off and I don't lose it. That's actually not coolant, that's oil, which would make sense because it mounts right next to the base. So I don't know if that's an oil cooler. I should probably figure that out, but that's okay for now. Tighten these up. That one don't want to come off now, does it? Well, go ahead and pull these off. I'll do this one off camera. I gotta find something to grab it and tug with. Next, we're going to remove these two coolant hoses that attach to the water pump. Okay. You will have coolant drain out of this, so make sure you got a bucket or a drain pan up underneath. Now we'll do the back one. Okay. Matter of fact, we can stick this one back on. The one in the back actually attaches to the head, so I'm okay with leaving that one on for now. So it looks like we've got all our wiring disconnected. We have all our hoses disconnected. So the only thing that's left is exhaust, right here in the back of the head, and drive shafts. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those. Drive shafts connect under here, and then they just pull out and connect a little farther back. So let me go grab an impact, get these things out. Okay, so all right, so I have everything disconnected. Looks like all the wiring, the fuel lines, negative battery, oil cooler, coolant, drive shafts, exhaust. Everything's disconnected. The only thing holding this bike in currently are 4 of these bolts, 4 of these nuts, and there's one on each corner. They're 15 millimeter, and I've found kind of the easiest way to remove them from the last time is one of these ratcheting wrenches. The front, this one's easy. You could get it with a socket. The rest of them are a little more tough to get to. So however you want to do it, just go ahead and pull all of these off, and then I'll come back when I get them all off. All right, so got a strap up here on the frame. Then I hooked up a 500-pound chain hoist, and we're going to use that to actually pick the engine up. I've got all 4 bolts or 4 nuts that are securing the engine down to the stand. I've got all of them off. So now what I need to do is figure out how I want to strap this with straps, and then connect it to this chain. So I've got don't really know what I want to do just yet, so bear with me a minute and I'll get back. So like I said, when you're by yourself, you ain't got much of a choice. You got to get a little creative. So got 2 6-foot straps, a piece of oak, and the chains wrapped around the oak. So I've got it up high enough. Now what I need to do, and I'm going to show this off camera since I'm by myself, try not to drop the engine, for 1, and for 2, want to try to swing it over, get it on top of these 2x4s. Then when I get it on top of the 2x4s, I can maneuver it and kind of pull these 2x4s out so that I can get it up on a cart, get it over to the table. So if you don't have a second set of hands, or even if you do, just getting it out of the hole is kind of a pain in the butt. This worked really well. I actually used this hoist to put it down in here previously. I just used the chain and kind of wrapped it around there. This, with kind of the spreader bar, works a lot better, keeping the load, balanced. I was tipping all over the place. Now I'm pretty level and flat, and I could even take a little time and do it better. But either way, it's in here, and we're almost done.